Hello everyone. Today I will show you two small sketches, but this is designed more for novice chess players, for children, for amateurs, but you can also, if you are more experienced, take note of it and maybe not fall for such, or rather such tricks. And the first game that I will show you, she starts with the move e4, e5, the knight at 3 and the black knight answers at 6. This is a Russian party. My coach showed me this trap. I was probably 7 years old then, now I'm 24, that is, it was about 17 years ago. I think it certainly existed before that for many, maybe even centuries. Well, here, of course, taking a knight on the e5 field, the correct theory here is to move a pawn on the d6 field in order to drive the knight away and then win back the pawn on the e4 field itself, but instead an inexperienced player can play a knight e4 with you. And while there is nothing wrong here, you should definitely play the queen barely attacking the knight. If a person gets into such a position for the first time, he can even mechanically play in blitz, return the horse back to the field of f6. And yes, they really played like that and I really used it, of course not at a super high level, but it happens, it's normal. And immediately we see that the queen is standing in front of the king, only the knight prevents us, but the knight does not really interfere, the knight makes a hidden check. And we see that the queen is lost for the knight, we have to close with the queen and here he is lost. But this is not a 100% trap, 100% traps naturally do not exist in nature. Everyone who tells you that millions of chess players will fall into your trap, they are simply lying to you. I'll show you how it was necessary to play black here. Black had to play queen e7 in response. You attack the horse, they attack the horse. If you take this knight, the queen remains unprotected. The blacks are attacking our knight already here, we can't move away with a knight in any case, because the queen is lost, well, it's very insulting to lose in such a position. It is correct to play d4 on take and take a pawn. The position is actually approximately equal, but white now has an extra pawn, although this does not mean much yet, but closer to the endgame, an extra pawn can become your extra piece, for example, a queen. Here is such a first sketch. The second sketch also begins with the move e4. This is no longer a trap, it is more like a punishment for black's mistake. Black plays d5, this is the Scandinavian defense. This debut is quite justified. Gross played against me like this in real life, that is, I once played with Gross, I happened to, and he was like this on u5. Then I asked why they decided to mock me like that, maybe they played such an unusual debut. He says, this is my one of the main options, only for the capture he played a knight at 6. He did not take the queen, he first additionally attacked the pawn with his knight. That is, even Gross plays like that. But in the game it was played the queen beats d5, gets under the pace from the knight c3 attacked the queen and the queen goes to the field again. Look, he's looking so closely, he wants us to push the pawn d4, it turned out to be a knight's bundle, but we're pushing anyway, friends, this is a theory, this is a good move. And here black is already playing incorrectly. It would seem that a normal move, a horse goes to the field of kings, what's wrong with it? Black quickly prepares a castling on the queen side. This is one of the ideas of this opening, the rapid development of the figure, raking on the queen side, rolling somewhere on the royal, that is, castling on the queen side in this opening is quite logical and I would probably like black to make it faster, but at the same time the knight, standing on the king's field, takes this field from the pawn. Usually, when I move the pawn somewhere on the c3 field, I would say that the pawn takes the field from the knight. How can a pawn stand better than a knight? Something is nonsense. And the field of kings, it literally belongs to the horse, but not in this debut. Here it was much better to play just the same friends of the king with a pawn. Why? Because the field is such as field b5, which is taken from the horse. The horse very often in this opening, and in many others, tends to field b5 in order to get to field c7 and announce such a most unpleasant fork. You are also preparing a retreat for your queen. Open the diagonal a5 d8 so that the queen can bounce, let's say somewhere on the field c7 on occasion, so that he is not much tormented here, if they want. Also, you take a little control of point d5, that is, the move of c6 in this opening. He should almost automatically move. This is a good move. Instead of this, the knight of c6 can play, but so far nothing critical has happened. The knight goes to the field f3, white continues to develop, the position is equal, the bishop f4 ties the knight, and then as many as 3 white play. They are like this, so you came out as an elephant, and you decide what you will do next. Either you beat the knight, or you retreat somewhere, keeping the bundle, or you go back home, but black can now make his interesting choice. Let's take a closer look at the position. A pawn has attacked a bishop, a rook stands behind the pawn, a rook without defenses. So it is possible to tie this pawn with a move of queen h5. It's a very logical move, but what's wrong? Now you can't take it away, the rook is lost. In fact, the correct decision in this position was to exchange a knight for an elephant. After taking it to go into a long castling, the position is absolutely equal, and no one has any advantage. Look, the whole royal flank is asleep. Instead of this one, white has 2 bishops, but black has already been reclaimed. Already a heavy figure is playing along a semi-open vertical. That is, everyone has their own game. There are some compensations for the position and positions, friends, I repeat, absolutely equal. Instead, the queen is 5, they want to somehow strengthen this bundle, tie up a pawn, somehow continue to put more pressure on the opponent, because the more you push, the better you do it, the faster you have the opportunity to somehow reverse the course of the game and force the opponent to make a mistake. With an ideal game, almost any chess game sooner or later comes to a draw. It doesn't even seem to me that almost any game, if both players play perfectly, but there is such a factor as a person, as his nerves, as his condition. If you constantly push, you, of course, can pass yourself and make a mistake somewhere, lose a figure in the victim, but you can, on the contrary, squeeze so hard that the opponent will make a mistake, and you will finish him. And here, friends, the queen's move is already 5, this is already a mistake, because we take the pawn and, more precisely, the bishop on the field is 4, I give quality and you tell me that this is a mistake. I mean, what kind of nonsense are you telling me now? It's so easy to take the queen on the field as 1, you're sitting without quality. But friends, here is a very beautiful, quiet refutation of the fact that now black has won the quality, and this is the knight's move on the field barely. Imagine, in such a position you will hardly play a knight on the field, but what does it mean? And this means, friends, that the queen is now lost. Why? Because the queen has nowhere to retreat. The bishop selects the field a6, the pawn h5, the knight h4, the pawn h3, the knight h2, the knight selects the field w1 and the bishop is already 2. And why did we play a knight on the e2 field? Yes, then, in order to play the knight 3 in the next move and win the queen, who will be lost here in any case, he simply has nowhere to go, there is no one to save him, he does not have any intermediate checks. You can try to give a queen there at least for a bishop and in the end, let's say, this will happen. And the queen eventually turns out to be a rook. But this, friends, is incomparable, especially in such an interesting position. White should definitely win. It will be very difficult to lose it. Here are 2 sketches like this today. The first is still a trap, the second is not quite a trap, but so that you yourself do not fall into it and see such things that you cannot always tie, sometimes you can step on your own rake. Black tried to tie a pawn, eventually lost the queen. Thank you friends so much for watching me, for putting up with me. Watch me, write comments, put likes, subscribe to the channel, videos are released daily. I wish you happiness, health and a peaceful sky over your head. Bye bye.